Welcome back to Timeless Sagas, my fellow history enthusiasts. Today, we're diving into the rich and vibrant history of one of the world's most iconic cities, New York. Grab a bagel, a slice of pizza, or a hot dog from a street vendor, and let's embark on a journey through time to explore the origins, growth, and significance of the city that never sleeps. Picture this, it's the early 1600s, and the Lenape people, an indigenous tribe, are living peacefully in an area they call Mannahatta, which translates to the island of many hills. Little do they know that their lives are about to change forever, as the Dutch arrive to explore and settle in this new land. In 1624, the Dutch West India Company establishes a trading post known as New Amsterdam on the southern tip of Manhattan Island. It's a bustling little trading hub, surrounded by wooden walls to fend off the British and other European rivals. But, alas, the walls don't hold up too well, and in 1664, the British seized control of the colony, renaming it New York in honor of the Duke of York. Fast forward to the 1700s, and New York is growing rapidly as a major port city. But, like with any great story, conflict is just around the corner. The American Revolution is brewing, and New York finds itself at the center of it all. The city hosts the Stamp Act Congress in 1765, a gathering of colonial representatives that protests against the British taxation policies. The plot thickens as the revolution kicks off, and in 1776, the Declaration of Independence is read aloud for the very first time at the steps of the City Hall. From that moment on, New York is embroiled in the struggle for independence. As the war rages on, the city changes hands between the British and the Americans multiple times, with New York even serving as the British headquarters during the conflict. But the good guys prevail, and in 1783, the last British troops finally leave the city. In a dramatic twist, New York becomes the first capital of the United States in 1785, hosting the inauguration of George Washington as the first president in 1789. The city's time in the spotlight is short-lived, though, as the capital moves to Philadelphia in 1790. Now let's jump to the 1800s, where New York is booming in every sense of the word. The population explodes, thanks to a massive influx of immigrants from Europe, seeking a better life and new opportunities. The city becomes a melting pot of cultures, with neighborhoods like Little Italy, Chinatown, and the Lower East Side showcasing the rich diversity of its residents. The city expands rapidly, and the iconic grid plan of Manhattan, which we still see today, is established in 1811, setting the stage for the concrete jungle we all know and love. As the century progresses, New York cements its place as the economic and cultural heart of the United States. The city becomes a hub for the arts, with the opening of the Metropolitan Museum of Art in 1870 and the Metropolitan Opera in 1883. The famous Statue of Liberty, a gift from France, is dedicated in 1886, symbolizing freedom and hope for the millions of immigrants arriving on its shores. Infrastructure projects like the Brooklyn Bridge, completed in 1883, and the opening of the first subway line in 1904, transform the city's landscape and make it easier for people to live, work, and play in New York. Speaking of play, let's not forget the opening of the iconic Coney Island amusement park in 1895, where New Yorkers could escape the hustle and bustle of the city for some good old-fashioned fun. But, as we know, history isn't all fun and games. The turn of the 20th century is also marked by tragedy and unrest, with the devastating Triangle Shirtwaist Factory fire in 1911 and the bombings of anarchist groups in the 1910s and 1920s. The city perseveres, though, and the Roaring Twenties bring an era of prosperity, with the construction of iconic skyscrapers like the Woolworth Building, the Chrysler Building, and the Empire State Building, all vying for the title of the tallest building in the world. This golden age doesn't last long, as the Great Depression hits the city hard in the 1930s. Unemployment and poverty are rampant, and the city's infrastructure projects grind to a halt. But New Yorkers are a resilient bunch, and the city slowly recovers, thanks in part to the New Deal policies implemented by President Franklin D. Roosevelt, a native New Yorker himself. As we move into the mid-20th century, New York becomes the center of the art world, with the abstract expressionist movement taking root in the city. Artists like Jackson Pollock and Mark Rothko put New York on the map as a global cultural powerhouse. The city also becomes a hub for the civil rights movement, with figures like Malcolm X and the Nation of Islam advocating for the rights of African Americans in the city. The latter part of the century brings its share of challenges, with the city facing a fiscal crisis in the 1970s and a surge in crime and drug use. But, as always, New York bounces back, with the revitalization of neighborhoods like Times Square and the Lower East Side, and the city's transformation into a safer, cleaner metropolis. Now, here we are in the 21st century, where New York continues to be an economic, cultural, and political powerhouse. The city faced tragedy with the 9/11 terrorist attacks, but, true to form, New Yorkers came together to rebuild and recover. So, there you have it, folks, a whirlwind tour of the history of New York City, one of the most iconic and resilient cities in the world. From its humble beginnings as a Dutch trading post to its growth as a global metropolis, the story of New York is one of perseverance, diversity, and innovation. If there's one thing we can learn from the city that never sleeps, it's that no matter what challenges come our way, we can always rise above and create a brighter future. Thanks for joining me on this exciting journey through time, and be sure to subscribe to Timeless Sagas for more captivating stories from our shared past. Until next time, keep exploring, and remember, history is a saga that never ends.